Hello, awesome folks. I hope you're having a great day today. Today, we're taking a look at Michael J. Ward's The Legion of Shadow. I'll link you to it in the comments below for you, folks. This is an epic game book that took me a week to read. I started it on Monday. I finished it last night on a Sunday. I really pushed a lot of time into this because after, the first day I started it with like an hour and a half left to go because typically game books don't take that long, maybe 2 or 3 days for me to read. Sometimes just one day. And I started it on Monday and I read the rules and I got started with it pretty deeply. And when I saw what this had and how it was structured, I loved it. And so then every day afterwards, I put about 4 hours or so, sometimes 3.5 hours, except for Friday when I played video games and board games with my friends at their place in Napa, not just an hour and a half into it, and so forth. So this is an epic. So if you spend about 3.5, 4 hours a day, this is an epic book. This book, you can see how thick it is, right? So what makes this game book different is that basically it's an open world RPG. So you're basically from initial space, after reading the intro paragraph, you're going to be moving to the map and choosing a location to go to. Now there are 3 acts and 3 maps that are in the center of this book that you'll go back to. Now there are towns where everything should be safe. And then there are sort of villages and locations and such for you to go to and grab supplies, buy things, that sort of a thing, find a quest, that sort of a thing, get a feel for the area, that sort of a thing, and bringing stuff back, just like you would at towns. And right, you can talk to the innkeepers and get information, that sort of a thing, just like you would in an open world RPG like Magic 6. Then you are starting out at green level quests and knocking them out. The next level are orange, which are medium size, and then blue is the hard level, and then red is the hardest levels. So you'll do those in orders. You'll get more stuff and more equipment, which levels you up. You start with 30 endurance, and the endurance will restore at the end of each combat. So you don't need to keep track of it for one combat and such, which is good. I like that. And then you have stats of armor that block the damage that you take, speed, which you'll add to your 2d6s to find out who wins against your opponent's speed and such. So that's kind of cool. And then brawn and magic is how much damage you'll deal, and whichever stats the biggest will be the one you'll want to do the most of. You can choose your class about a third of the way through this, and then you can choose a specialization. So I chose the rogue class because I thought it would be the hardest because they only had 5 hit points. Mages had 10, and wizards and warriors thought added 15. I thought the warriors would be the easy thing, and so forth. And rogues emphasize speed, and like I just said, speed is how you win combat. And unlike other things like Lone Wolf, which I played a lot of, here the winner only does damage to the loser, right? Sometimes the winner might take 2 damage themselves less based on what you roll and so forth, or based on. But sometimes, so for example, you might be dealing 7 to your foe and 4 to you if you roll well. So you will still take damage, right? But here, if you win, and since rogues emphasize speed, in order to have a bunch of stuff, I definitely emphasized that, and rogue specific stuff is pretty good. I eventually wound up with a class. I started with the class Pickpocket, and then you can choose a new subclass, not a new class, but a new subclass as you go through it, and such. And the second subclass I encountered was Assassin, awesome, and then I kept Assassin all the way through the end. Although I came across some other ones like Shadow Stalker and Swords Master, that sort of thing. You can also grab subclasses from other stuff too. So that's kind of cool. Thought it was fun. So that's kind of the fun stuff. Now, unlike the open world one that I just knocked out recently for folks, that one where you would go back to a space and get in again with more knowledge while you're trying to track down stuff. Here, you're just going to it the one time, and then you're finishing things, grabbing objects, and then you're leaving it. Right. So because it's an open world, you need to go everywhere to get as much stuff as possible. There's no endurance, so there's no reason to fight because there's no experience points. Your stats and endurance are based on your class and your items, right, and such. So that's good. And then you don't need to worry too much about that other stuff. So since you're tossing 2d6 and then rolling 1d6 for damage against your speed. So what I did to make things fast was I wouldn't add the speed, I would just add the speed bonus, right? So for example, I finished with an 18 speed, and the boss on the final match has a 15 speed. So rather than me add 2d6 and toss 18 and have him roll until 16 out of 15. I just roll 3 to do the difference. Stuff like that. So that's kind of cool. So there's some fun stuff like that. You can get a ton of abilities in here. There's actually a dictionary in the back. For example, I had the Venom ability, which would deal 2 extra damage after you've hit him, and then 2 extra damage at the end of every battle for the rest of the battle until they die. Although you'll come across a lot of people that Venom won't work on. That's an example of an ability that you can have and such. I also had lightning. When I was dealt damage by somebody, they would take 2 damages automatically from my lightning, stuff like that. I had it as a ring, that sort of stuff. So it's fun. I loved it. I thought this stuff was really, really good by Michael J. Ward. I'm going to link you to Legion of Shadow in the comments below. Because I knocked this out, you can tell from how much I liked the concept that I knocked this out fast. And this is a recent book. It was published pretty recently and such. But I'm going to be giving this a 9 out of 10. You know how rarely, if you're a member of my things, how rarely I give out things higher than 8s. 9s and 10s tend to be true classics, and 8s tend to be really, really good stuff. I picked up, there's 2 more books in this series, and then there's a trilogy of books I also picked up too. So I'm going to be definitely staying with it. Michael J. Ward, see how the rest of this stuff lives up to it. But it's a 9 out of 10 for you folks. So there you are. Have you read this? If so, what did you think about it? Let's talk about it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this one, hit the subscribe button, the like button, the bell icon if you're feeling frisky, and tell other folks about it too. As a reminder, this channel's name is The Worst Thing About New Books, which is a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about them was that they kept us from reading the old books. So this book is like 10 years old. So it's not that old. But definitely is something that you might not have heard about before, especially if you're not into game books. For you folks, I thought this was more of an adulter game book or an older teen. I wouldn't give this to a teen like I would give the Lone Wolf stuff. There's a lot of moving parts, but you might have somebody that might be different. I wouldn't say it's difficult. It's not like it's got a mature themes or anything. I would just say the difficult level for this is definitely leveled up. So there you are. And then finally, I just want to pause just to take a moment to thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and investing it in watching my video, because we all have so many things that are happening in our lives and we're pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spend this time with me, that's incredibly humbling, and I appreciate it. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.